Huge tentacles that block your way, vending machines that will give you a random item, big boy sharks that will give you a highly valuable item in exchange for specific junk, being able to pay bonds to return to your boat in an incursion, dailies, a good variety in enemies that isn't just normal guy and fast and normal guy, and an interesting setting pitting rats against mutant fish in a world where buildings are made of cardboard and other mundane things. The more you play with a specific class, the better it will get, so you have something to work towards to keep you invested. Also, this game is a lot more generous when it comes to giving you bonds to spend, and I'd also like to mention the quality of life feature of not having to hold something to weld it to a vehicle, as well as having a blue outline when it is welded, which is a thing a lot more games of this genre should do. I can see myself returning to this one. 8.5 out of 10. More of a Battlegrounds game than a Rails game, honestly. Where other rail-likes would give you guns and ammo to deal with enemies, this game gives you lots of over-the-top skills to fight your way through. However, the difficulty is all over the place. You have to learn to master the parry pretty much immediately if you don't want to get screwed and knocked on your ass constantly. And even then, if you aggro more than one particularly strong enemy, then you can kiss your headband goodbye. Also, since it's influenced by like 10 different anime franchises, the building designs are all over the place. Not to mention, it's tedious, confusing, and frustrating. Just look at this boss fight. I can't aim the cannon, I can't do anything to damage this thing. What were you people thinking? This game is so frustrating, it actually gave me a headache. 4 out of 10. It's not for me. Hell, I wouldn't even recommend it to any of my weak friends, at least until it gets its shit together and is more beginner friendly. Also, why are we making a dragon pull a cart? Get on it and fly, goddammit, it's like the medieval version of Idiocracy! A cute enough little romp through the setting of a Godfather movie. It introduces a bunch of interesting mechanics, such as having tolls you have to pay to progress through, though you can always wail on them, rescuing civilians that will follow you and aid you in combat, which may or may not lead to you receiving a brick to the head thrown by one of your men. But that's far from a bad thing. I find the chaos that ensues with each fight to be very entertaining. And there's also a karma system, which I don't think really matters unless you actually try to piss off every vendor you meet, which is something that will not get you far. And while it's got a good concept and a perfectly fine execution, it does have a few bugs here and there. And compared to other rail-likes I've played, this one I just consider to be decent enough. But hopefully in the future it will add many more interesting things. Is that a golem? Back on the topic of quality of life features, Wasteland is unique because you don't need to be holding a sack to store things. You can just press F on the item and you can store it. And it also makes it so if you have a bunch of medkits, they stack instead of just taking up a dozen different slots in your inventory. However, the aspect of this game that got to me the most is its visuals. My mouth is left agape when looking at the design of the buildings, the enemies, and the natural environments laid out across the wasteland. This game avoids something a ton of rail-likes are guilty of, which is just having a huge empty field with nothing in it, which makes the trip a very dull experience. In Wasteland, you'll come across huge, unnatural spikes rising from the ground, dead forests, and other things that make the place you're trying to escape feel somewhat alive, or at the very least like it's agonizing, as it should. All of that being said, just because it looks good doesn't necessarily mean it's better than Dead Rails, and the only difference gameplay-wise is that it's a bit more hardcore in the difficulty department. However, I would gladly support the devs of this one if it means they'll continue working on it and taking it to new heights. 7.5. I found this one to be pretty fun, and it plays the right bells. It plays with the mechanic of finding houses whose contents you take and live with. In other games, you take it for granted, but in this one, you might want to think twice because, for one, you might get a higher wanted level while you risk there not being anything at all. I enjoyed the building variety, the gunplay, and the fact that selling random things like books and dice barely gets you anything, obviously, because the real money is in the banks and museums. And the one thing that is stopping this game from being perfect, much to my pain and despair, is that it's way too easy. The enemy's guns don't deal enough damage. You can get shot like 100 times and you'll still walk out just fine. To the developers of this game, all I need from this game is a hard mode and it will be absolutely perfect. I will 100% go back to this game with my friends and play the heck out of it. We're going to finish off with a bonus game which resembles Dead Rails the absolute least and was probably not even inspired by it, aside from maybe the classes. That being said, I still want to talk about this game. This is an experience that's made to be played with your friends, because playing with randoms can prove to be an absolute nightmare. However, when you get a good game going, it shows. One man has to go down into the depths to explore and search for gold and scrap, while the other needs to make sure the boat doesn't flood, the power doesn't break down, and they also have to pull the diver back up when they tug the rope. There is death everywhere. The depths have sharks, the surface has pirates, the depths have darkness, and the surface has that fucking idiot of a teammate that doesn't pull you up until the last second because they decided to jump onto the trader's ship, leaving you to your fate. So all you have left is a speck of health that gets immediately taken away when the pirates show up out of nowhere and FUCK this game! 9!